Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, here with random reviews from the Overflow room. And we are wrapping up our survey of Roussel, and we're going to get a couple more composers at the very end. But really, we have quite a bit of Roussel to get through. In the meantime, first and foremost, this wonderful Japanese Roussel edition, which is all of the Martinon recordings. Now, these are all in the Martinon box that subsequently got issued. And they're in the Roussel box too, which is even better. So they're not as rare as they used to be, but when this was available, oh my God, I was so excited. I just jumped on it because you couldn't get this stuff any other way. You get the complete Bacchus and Ariadne, the tone poem pour une fête du printemps, Aeneas, the complete ballet, the Petite Suite, the Spider's Feast, and most important of all, the Second Symphony. One of the great 20th century symphonic masterpieces, an amazing piece of music, and this was its best performance, and it still is. So that was really great. Then on Analecta, well, that was nice of them, with Pascal Verreau and the Orchestra Symphonique du Québec. We've got the Spider's Feast, symphonic fragments, not the whole ballet. You really should do the whole ballet. It's only a little bit longer, and it's wonderful. The Concerto for Small Orchestra, the Sinfonietta for Strings, and the Fourth Symphony. So that was a nice thing to have come along. And then on Ondine, yeah, this was cool. The Orchestre de Paris with Christoph Eschenbach. He did a whole Roussel series, by the way. Not all of it was equally good. But this one, the First Symphony, the Poem of the Forest, and the Fourth Symphony was decent, and it's with the Orchestre de Paris, as I said, and Christoph Eschenbach and Ondine. Roussel Evocations. This was almost impossible to find. There was a recording on Supraphon, there was this one, and then there was a new one. There's a newer one on Chandos, finally. One of his great works. It's just this enormous, gorgeous tone poem thing, which has the titles Les dieux dans ombre des cavernes, the gods in the shadows of the caves. Oh my goodness. La vie rose, the rose city, and au bord du fleuve sacré, at the banks of the sacred river. And there's singing in this, by the way. It's Nikolai Gedda, Nathalie Stutzmann, José Van Damme, and Plasson, and the Orchestre du Capitole de Toulouse. Thank God, a couple of people finally started doing that. It's like a major, major work. It's wonderful. No one will ever play it because you need singers. It's expensive, and it's unusual, and it's wonderful. Symphonies 1, 2, 3, 4. Orchestre National de France, Charles Dutoit. Très, très médiocre. Complètement médiocre. Sorry. Oh, here's Padmavati again. In the last video, we ended with Padmavati. It got repackaged in this cute little box. So I got it because of the cute little box with Marilyn Horne, Nikolai Gedda, José Van Damme. As I said, it's his major opera thing, and it's an opera ballet. It's got songs and dancing and all this kind of stuff. And it's one of those stories about the Hindu something who kills herself because, well, why not? And it's great. There we go. What's this thing? Roussel Symphonies 3 and 4 with Charles Munch. Yes, the Arado recordings. Yeah, Munch was a Rousselian, all the way. But unfortunately, in Boston and RCA, he was only able to do the Bacchus and Ariadne Suite No. 2, and I think that was in mono. And it's just a pity, that they didn't do it thoroughly in stereo in Boston, because it would have been fabulous. This is with the Lamoureux Orchestra. These are early recordings, 1965, according to this, or actually, it's later than most of his Boston stuff. Sounds earlier. Frankly, it sort of does. Then we've got, once again, 2 discs. These are the Martinon recordings, but they got reissued separately on Arado. So, of course, I snagged them immediately as soon as I could get my little paws on them. But, even though I already have them 400 times elsewhere. And this is the 4 symphonies on RCA with Marek Janowski, with the Orchestre Philharmonique de Radio France. Again, Roussel deserves to be treated in the best possible way, with the best orchestras. His music is written with great finesse and detail. And here, Janowski's okay. It's all right. It's not great. The sound isn't great. I remember getting these and listening to them over and over again and saying to myself, when are we going to really have a stunning Roussel cycle by someone who really gets it and who's given the resources and the sonics that the composer deserves. Well, we have that now, actually, with Stéphane Deneuve on Naxos. Frankly, that's the best one out there overall for Roussel's orchestral music, thank God, and that's like upstairs. And with the Martinon stuff, you're in good shape for Roussel, but boy, it's been a frustrating slog trying to really deal with Roussel. And then finally, last but not least, this is, again, the André Cluitas stuff that's in the Cluitas box, and the Bacchus and Ariadne with Pretra, and the Second Symphony, well, that's interesting, with Pierre Dervaux, and the Concert Cologne, that's a rarity, a real rarity, and the Spider's Feast with Georges Pretre. So some of the stuff we've talked about, some we haven't. It's a twofer, and it was a really nice collection. I mean, the performances are all good, solid performances, and that is Roussel, a composer who still has not come into his own, who deserves to, who hasn't been given the best treatment in all cases, but you know, you collect what you can get, and so I've saved it all. Now that we're done with Roussel, I have some other goodies here. Christopher Rouse with the Baltimore Symphony Orchestra. This is an extra. This was a reissue, actually, because this was originally recorded on Nonsuch, the First Symphony and Phantasmata, two really wonderful orchestral works. And I thought that, you know, it was going to go out of print and disappear forever, which it sort of seems to have. And so when the First Edition Music reissued it this way and licensed it from Warner's, I immediately snagged it. And so here it is. I have an extra one just in case I need it. I have the original one too. And then after Chris Rouse, most of the rest of my Christopher Rouse is upstairs because he's really a major composer, I think. And he wasn't so frequently recorded that I had lots of overflow. However, Hans Rott had overflow. He didn't write very much. I mean, he died when he was like 20-something. Remember, he went insane. He thought Brahms was trying to blow up a train. He was crazy. He was completely crazy. And he wrote this big symphony, which some people claim Mahler filched, which Mahler himself noted sounded a lot like things that Mahler was doing. I mean, it was an identity that Mahler was happy to acknowledge, and Mahler did it so much better than Rott, but he has a cult following. He has a cult following. It's a pity. He was talented. Yes, he was talented, but these pieces are patchy and spotty and uninteresting, and we only care about them because of what Mahler later did, and because people can use it to try and say, oh, Mahler plagiarized everything from Hans Rott, which is just such crap. It's just nonsense. So anyway, this symphony's been recorded like a lot. I mean, there must be, I don't know, 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 or 9 recordings of it now. And his other stuff is getting recorded too, and none of it's terribly interesting. And the universe would not change a whit had none of it ever existed. And his cult people can go and worship him all they want and stop wasting the time of the rest of us. So here it is. Not terrible, but not really all that interesting either. It's a very good performance with the Norrköping Symphony Orchestra under Leif Segerstam. 63 minutes of which about 20 minutes is probably excess fat that you could just cut out. But there you go. So keep on listening, friends. Thanks for joining me, and take care.